Hey everyone, welcome back to Tactical Magic. This is Molly Mandelberg, your host, and I am very excited to be bringing this episode to you today. I went out to the desert for Vansgiving this year, and one of the most delightful things that happened to me was getting to meet this brilliant, amazing, powerful AF person named Dottie, who is my guest on the show today. And one of the things you may have noticed that I love to talk about is expanding beyond our limitations, changing our lives, making choices that allow us to create greater in our lives, in the lives of other people. And Dottie and I both have a passion for talking about money mindset. Some of you may have remembered the Peace with Money course that I've launched a few times in the past. I had a membership about that as well. And Dottie also talks about money mindset, money management, and all of that stuff. So hang tight. We'll be back in just a second for more with Dottie.
It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur.
Awesome. So Dottie Dynamo is a veteran stripper and anti-diet strength training coach who dedicates her time to empowering and educating other women and sex workers about personal finance, self-care, and strength training beyond body standards and toxic fitness culture perpetuated by the patriarchy. Fuck yeah. Through her signature program, Master Your Cash Academy, she helps sex workers unpack their relationships with money, adopt a business mindset, and prioritize building financial security that will outlast their time in the industry. Welcome to the show, Dottie.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit how you found yourself in the coaching and money mindset and fitness kind of world. Like, what was your journey like to get here?
My journey to get there was mostly from like making so many mistakes along the way and then realizing that if I'm making these mistakes, like so many other people are, and how much time can I save you by like teaching you what not to do that I did wrong.
Totally. So thank you for paving the way. Yeah. But that's like the most powerful way to share insights with people too, is like, hey, I've done it the wrong way first. And now I recognize there's a better way. And I'd like to shorten that learning curve for you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's usually how most of us in coaching come to it, right? We want to help other people. There's like this really strong desire to help other people do things right in their life. And you realize that you can shorten all those steps for them by just like giving them the solid ways of like, I have tried all of the things the wrong way. And now I know a better way. So let me help you find the better way.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's absolutely how I ended up doing what I'm doing too. So first off, let's talk about maybe what the wrong way is. And I know you walk on two different realms here. So we can talk about like anti-diet culture and how that's so toxic to our ability to actually care for ourselves, and also the like programming of maybe consumerism and the patriarchy, like you mentioned, and how relating to our money differently can actually transform that.
It's so interesting to me, like, honestly, the parallels between fitness and finance in that realm as well. We learn like through society, right? Everything we learn is like what we see, what we breathe, like from everyone around us. And so as far as body stuff, that comes from what's perpetuated by the media, that if you're going to be worthy, if you're going to be successful, if you're deemed lovable, like you need to have this thin, abled body and fit whatever look is trending at the current time. And so we're always chasing that to feel better about ourselves instead of realizing that we are always worthy of things, and that letting go of that is actually the way to the better life.
Yeah.
And then same thing with money. We aren't taught anything about money, and that's on purpose, right? In order for the rich to be rich, the poor have to stay poor. And so there aren't these cycles of teaching us the same things, that like we can change how we think about money, we can change how we plan about money, but we again have to learn to let
our health and our body and our well-being, that's going to show up in other areas of our life. It's going to show up in our relationships. It's going to show up in our money and our work and all of that. So yeah, it's worth looking at what's working right now and how can we change it. So what are some of your, like, I mean, you have courses and programs people can dig into, but what are some of the ways to first start looking at these things so that we can change them?
I mean, when it comes to money, the first thing to just look at is like, what did you learn about money? And so many people, myself included, you'll say like, I didn't learn anything. My parents didn't teach me anything. But you have to go one step further because they did, whether you realize it or not, right? How they were talking about money, how they spent money, what you didn't spend money on, how your parents talked about people with money or without money. Those are the things they taught you about money. So you have to like really get in there and start thinking about your childhood and what that looked like and how that now is translating to your relationship with money, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that awareness is like the beginning of choosing to take your power back and make a choice that maybe is different from what your family did or what society did. There can also be, I've noticed with my clients when we're talking about this stuff that, oh, if I choose different, if I make like a totally new reality with money, I'll lose people. Has that been the case for you? Have you noticed that, like, oh, I'm willing to have more success, or I'm willing to stop complaining about this and take action, like that I don't fit in with my family anymore and they're complaining about money or whatever?
When it comes to my family, not so much, but in my industry, I feel it. Like I'm no longer obsessed with the need to like have all the flashy clothes or to live this like Instagrammable like life that is so definitely present in like the stripper industry, right? Because you're making a ton of money, so you're flashing your money and you have all the nicest things. I'm like, no, I would rather save that money and know that I'm set up for the future than like follow with the idea that like I need to have all the nicest things in order to be deemed like someone who is successful.
Right. As seen from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is really like so much more successful to know that you are rather than to show that you are.
Yeah. Right. There's a common saying, right? Oh, what is it? In our industry, it's usually like, if you want to actually find the person who is rich, right? Like don't look for the one who's wearing their wealth.
Right.
Because that's different. The person who's wearing their riches most likely isn't actually rich because they're wearing all of their money instead of like having it in a bank account.
Right. Totally. So like the upper class are wearing the suits and the billionaires are wearing the sweatpants.
Yeah. The like cargo shorts and the New Balance. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's funny. So I just want to bring it in for a second too, because we're talking about kind of taboo. We're skirting around a taboo topic, which is that you're a stripper and that you're working in the sex industry, and that there are probably people listening who have points of view about that. And I just want to start by saying like how fucking radical you are and the level of empowerment and like potency that you're walking around the world with. The way that you're doing you is so not from a like place of judgment or like a judgeable place. And I just want to like give you a chance to like speak to that, because there is a perception, I think, that people who work as a stripper, people who work in the sex industry, need to have low self-esteem to resort to something like that. And that is just so not the case with you. And I love that you're like a stand for that. Can you just say a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a common thread, right, of the idea that like there's a lot of shame around it. And again, it's something that society tells us because our country comes from like Puritan values, so that it just bleeds into everything we do. But yeah, I love what I do for a living. I've been doing it for 10 years, and I don't know many people who stay in a career that long. And it's usually more other people putting their shame on us than our own shame, because of the way that society deems it. But like, I'm a very successful individual. Most of the women that I meet in this industry are some of the most well-educated, magnificent people ever. But like with everything, people do it for different reasons. Some people are in it for survival. Some people are in it to pay their way through college. Some people are like me and love it and do it as a career for the long term. And like every other job, like not everyone should be a surgeon. Not everyone should be a teacher. Not everyone should be a sex worker. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been a substitute teacher and I suck at it.
Yeah. It's just like there are roads and avenues for every person. So
Yeah.
You don't have to like it, and that's okay. If you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't like it, don't do it. And if it's not something you want to experience, then don't show up to it. Like, I don't want to hang out with politicians, so I don't watch the news all that often.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like sports, so you're not going to find me going to go watch sports. So
Right, exactly. Yeah. So to each their own. And I just like, yeah, really appreciate that about you, that you are breaking that stereotype for everyone that you meet, and you just show up as you without any of those layers of judgment or like shame or guilt or whatever, the other people's shit that, like you said, can easily be laid on you. And I think no matter what you're doing, especially like in the coaching industry, I work with so many coaches and holistic practitioners. One of the offerings I've been rolling out lately is a group hypnosis session to like overcome those limiting beliefs. But even as a coach, you're constantly concerned about what people are thinking about you, or at least at first, you have a lot of awareness of the judgment that could come. So that judgment is going to happen no matter what industry you're in. The most important thing is that you're doing something that you care about, that makes you feel alive, and that brings you the fulfillment or the success or whatever it is that you're after.
yeah, 100%. At the end of the day, if you're okay with who you are, then it doesn't really matter what other people think.
Yeah, totally. So just into some nitty gritty money stuff, because we might name this episode something along the lines of money. How does one master their cash?
I mean, first and foremost, your relationship with money. You will never master your cash or your money situation if you don't work on your relationship with it. Like, right, what did you learn about it? What do you value about money? I think that's a really important one. And then so many people just vaguely use the word like rich, like I want to be rich one day. But if you don't know how you define that, then how do you know if you ever like get there?
Right.
I'm going to take an assumption and say you and I probably equally find our lives very rich, living on the road and doing things like that. And I'm so content. I think I'm rich. If you looked at my bank account, it might not agree, but I feel very rich. And so like understanding what that means to you is also part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Defining what that target is. And definitely your relationship to money. And that's not just like figuring out what it's like, how do you feel when you spend money?
Yes.
How do you react when you have to pay more money? Like I had a great choice about that yesterday and today. My van's in the shop because the door, if you ever have a Sprinter van, you know the doors are bullshit. But finally fixing this actuator issue because it became so bad that I couldn't unlock my sliding door anymore. And so I've spent last weekend climbing in and out through the passenger seat of my van to get to the back. But anyway, it's at the shop and they're like, oh, actually, we could fix this and we could fix this and we could fix this. And I'm like, okay, so like a $500 fix is now like $1,500 of expense. And like had that moment of my past self, who was very scarcity consciousness, was like, okay, I could freak out and be like, oh God, what am I going to do? How am I going to like get to the next place I'm going? Like go into total fear, go into overwhelm, go into, I can't possibly make this work. Like, how am I going to make it work? And instead I went to, oh, well, if that money's going out, I wonder where it's going to come in from. And I had a call with a client yesterday. She doesn't need to renew anything. I mean, she could join this next program again. She's like, oh yeah, I'm going to join that program. Almost the exact amount that they had tallied up to for the mechanic was what that money is now coming in from this client. And I didn't expect it. I didn't see it coming. I didn't like ask her for it. But that's the way, in my opinion, the magic of money when you have a relationship like that, like, hey, money, you're my friend. If you need to go over here, like, go. It's okay. You can go. And I know that you're going to come back because that's the relationship I'm creating with finances in my life, with the energy of money, is that it's my lover, it's my friend, it's my partner, it's me, it's part of me, and it's here all the time to support me. And I'm willing to surrender into what that ebb and flow looks like. And then poof, miracles show up and things happen. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely that emotional thing of like, how does it feel to spend money? And also like everybody has a different like realm of what they think expensive is, or what they're willing to spend money on and what they aren't willing to spend money on. And so knowing those things about yourself and just changing your language, because language, right? Words are spells. So if you're saying to yourself, like, I can't afford that, is it that you can't afford it? Or would you rather spend your money on something else? Because that's totally valid. So then just say, I'm choosing not to buy that so that I can have this other thing in my life.
Yeah.
It's not expensive. You just don't value it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that story, the words, I love that you brought up spellcasting, because the words that we use are creating our reality all the time. And by simply shifting those phrases and that language and getting back to that place of choice, that has a huge power to shift our lives as well, and shift how we're reacting and interacting with money. So cool. Tell us a little bit about your Master Your Cash Academy. Who's it for? What do you cover? All that.
It's mostly geared towards strippers, but it honestly, if you are an entrepreneur who like has a side hustle or you're essentially self-employed, it relates to you, but it's all taught through the lens of the strip club because that's where I make the majority of my money. And we go through, there's 8 steps. And the first step is your relationship to money. The second step is figuring out where you are financially. And we look at like how much money you've actually made in your entire lifetime, because then you can see like, wow, I actually do have the propensity to make so much money. You just don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, how much do you have to show for that? So we can like, you have to have a starting point. If you want to change your financial future, like where are you starting from?
Yeah.
And then we work on like getting your finances organized, setting up a way to like really look at that. We work on your spending. So like, again, if you have emotional triggers, if when you have a bad day, your thing is to spend instead of working on those emotions in other ways that might be healthier.
Yeah.
We work on handling your money like a business, because so many people who run small businesses don't understand that component of how to handle your finances like a business and what that means, and having your business money not linked with your personal money, and how to pay yourself a paycheck and how to pay quarterly taxes, because that is a huge thing of mastering your money and not commingling things if you are running a business, because your business is not you, even if it also is.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And
Creating
then
that
there's
separation. Yeah, go ahead.
it's so important. And I think that's why so many people who start out, right, trying to have a side hustle or starting their own business, why it gets so messy is because there isn't that separation of business and personal and understanding how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's modules on taxes, and there's modules on like saving, investing, why you should have a high yield savings account, not a regular savings account, how to use sinking funds, like how to actually plan to save instead of that idea of like, I'll save what I have left over, because then we never have anything left over, right?
Yeah.
We'll always use every dollar that comes our way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how can you use the money that's coming your way to build a better life for yourself instead of just spending it on stuff?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And having that sort of pay yourself first mindset of the money goes to these designated places. Like you said, we're going to put every dollar somewhere. But if you put a certain amount of it in a like better place before you go and spend yours, it just turns out different after years of doing that. The tally changes, which is super awesome and worth doing. Like there's a aspect of money that is it magnetizes it to itself. So if you have some sitting somewhere that is yours and not getting spent, that sense of I have money creates a new state of being for you. And that new state of being actually attracts more money to it. So it's like having money around creates more wealth in your life also.
Definitely, because you start to believe that idea that you are worthy of money because you can see yourself building that financial truth for yourself.
Yeah.
All people are always think as well, like, it's not enough if I only have $5 to put away. It's not enough if I only have $10 to put away. But that over time is how you get to that large sum. If $5 is what will get you to believe that you are worth saving for, then $5 is the perfect place to start.
Yeah.
Because after a while, that is going to be $200, and then it's going to be $500. And next thing you're going to believe like, oh my goodness, I am not actually living to paycheck, or I'm not in scarcity mode anymore, because I can see that I have the ability to save for my financial future or my own self. Like I am worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And that also creates that sense of ease when, you know, your car breaks down or your door stops working and you're like, actually, I can handle this. It's going to be okay. Yeah. I remember the first time I had an issue with the van, and I had gotten into the practice of like actually tithing to myself and saving in a way that I hadn't before in my life. And was like, they came out to tell me what it was going to cost, or I called them, and I didn't go and call 3 other people. I just said, great, take care of it. And I was like, oh, that was a different experience. Like I just knew I could take I could handle that. And that was like a completely new reality. So I like had to acknowledge like, oh, something has shifted, and I'm willing to keep doing that work and making that practice so that it feels different in more times of my life, where the old story would react one way and the new story is like a state of peace and calm with money.
Yeah. When you don't have that stress anymore of like, where is the money going to come from if something happens?
Yeah.
Because you've already provided it for yourself. So those moments are easy. I had a similar thing with my van. I thought I needed my brake pads changed. Turned out I needed a whole new brake, like on everything. And they told me the total, and I was like, cool, here's the card. Because I knew I had the money in a savings account. Like was I upset that I had to spend that on brakes when I would rather have spent it on something else? Sure. But I had the money and it wasn't an issue. And I think that's the first time in my life where I was ever like, how many thousands? No problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And that feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a place we want to get to. Awesome. And so just a little bit about the physical, how that plays into
The fitness stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually where my first sort of business outside of the club was in personal training and fitness. And then I myself got so sucked into the toxic narrative of it by working in big box gyms and just assuming that every client wants to lose weight, because of course, like, right, if you're working out, it's because you want to lose weight. It couldn't be because you just want to be healthier, or you want to, I don't know, pick up your grandchildren when you're older, or you want to be able to still go hiking late in your life. There's so many other benefits to lifting and having a daily movement practice that have nothing to do with what your body looks like. But we're sold fitness as like it has everything to do with what you look like, and that's the only right way to do it. Mm-hmm. So letting go of that, especially in a very body-centric industry, was so freeing.
Yeah.
And so helping other women do that and start to separate that narrative of I'm working out because I need to change my body, and like separating the aesthetics from all of the other benefits and leaving that aside can again be like so empowering to take that back for yourself.
Yeah. It's amazing how ingrained it is in our culture, ingrained it is in the gym like industry. I joined a gym. I've been a member of a gym many, many years, but it used to be more about showering for me on the road than it was about working out. I joined a gym called Orange Theory like a little less than 2 years ago. And even when I went in, I was like present to, I'm doing this because I want to feel good. I'm doing this because I want to like go on hikes uphill at high elevation and not feel like I can't. And I want to be strong and like able as I'm nearing my late 30s. I want to be able to use my body into my, late 60s and 80s. And that should start right now. And as I was asked like all the questions, when you go into a new gym and they want to like get into it, it like couldn't not be for them about losing weight. I didn't mention losing weight once. I happened to lose a lot of weight since then through that gym. But from the get-go, I knew I was going in for like feeling good and caring for me and my physical body in a new way. And the fact that my body happened to change was like really secondary for me. Like, it's great. I feel like hotter than ever, and that's nice. But it's more so because I'm like loving me and tending to me in a way that I never have before. But yeah, for them, it was like continually coming back to losing weight or whatever that benchmark was. And I was like, you guys aren't talking to me the way I'm talking to you.
Yeah. And that becomes, right, they aren't focusing on the individual in front of them anymore. They're focusing on whatever it is they think that you should want, or what, again, this toxic narrative that we have around fitness that like everybody is pushing on you, especially like right now it's January. How many people have just started new diets or just joined a gym because they think that this is going to be the year something changes, and they're expecting to go from 0 to 60 instead of realizing, okay, if I wasn't working out before, then like maybe 10 minutes a day is where it is. Like, what is it that I really want to get? If you dig deeper, if you start asking why, right? There's like this powerful coaching thing of asking why 5 times.
Yeah.
Of like, you want to lose weight. Why? Because I want to feel better. Why? Because I really like going hiking. Okay, so what we're getting to is you want to feel better for hiking. So that's really our goal. And if the other things happen, cool, those are bonuses.
Yeah. Yeah. And the power of being met by someone, it's like, I love how you make those the same. It's the same fucking thing. What's your relationship to your body? What's your relationship to your money? Once you're clear on that, what's the desire for a new state? And how can we move from there to there? But what I love is you holding the space for like the permission of, it's not about needing to change you. It's about how can you like take care of you so you feel the way you want to feel, so that you stand the way you want to stand in the world. So yeah, to have a coach or a mentor or somebody guiding you to care for your body in a deeper way who's coming from that place is, I think it's more and more available now, but it's still fucking revolutionary and super important in my opinion. So well done on that.
Thank you. Definitely needed, and definitely needed, especially focused towards women identifying people, because that, not that men don't get it, but it is more pushed on us in the society that like, unless you are thin and look young, then like we might as well just toss you away.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just not the case.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I think the older women get, the more powerful they become. And well, maybe that's the actual problem that they're trying to change.
Right. They're scared of us. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we have a couple minutes left. I want people to know, I'm sure there are people like, damn, we need more Dottie Dynamo in our lives. First off, how do people find your course? And then what are all the places people should follow you and check you out?
The course is on my website. You can also find it through Instagram. The website is changing, but it's currently Fit Showgirl. It's spelled with 2 R's and girl, so it's FITSHOGRRL.com. But hopefully this year that will be switched over to just be like DottieDynamo.com. And my Instagram is Dottie Dynamo. And then I also have a podcast, which I have to say I have let fallen off, but the goal for this year is to get it back up and running consistently. And that is Show Me Your Assets.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a nice play on words for fitness and finances and sex work.
It's a great podcast title. I love it. Yeah. And I'm all for taking a season break and coming back when it feels better. Definitely understand how that is, especially on the road. It's kind of a lot to also have a regular podcast. But yeah, I'm super, super grateful that I got to share your magic on this show. Dottie, thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here and do this. I'm so happy you invited me to be on the show.
Yeah, awesome. And everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. Go on Instagram immediately, find Dottie Dynamo, check out her Master Your Cash Academy, and whatever happens, keep asking big questions and taking bold action, because you are here for a reason. Bye.